Good evening, Guyana and the diaspora. Let's fight. How is it going at your end, guys? A very good evening to each and every one of you. And we are so happy that you are here with us tonight. We are so delighted that you guys are here with us for the next hour, 50 minutes perhaps. How was the day at your end, folks? You all work for this money, or at the end of the month, you all will have to perhaps give back some of the money to your employer, whether you're working privately or otherwise. Folks, you all work for the money today. A good evening to each and every one of you. And we are so delighted that you guys can join us. Junie, good to see you. Rashley, what are those eyes about? Fidel, good night to all. We perhaps have an exception later on. Fidel and the others. Those of you who are joining us on Twitter, Jean, hello there. Those of you who are joining us on Facebook, good night to each and every one of you. Our YouTube friends, our YouTube colleagues, our YouTube fans, followers, supporters. Pamela, good evening to you. Diane Lewis Gittins, good evening. These are our regulars who unfailingly support in the ring, and we guys love all that you do for us, and we know that you are going to begin this evening by sharing the live stream, guys. Kevin and Kumar and John and Marlene and Gloria, all of you guys, we're going to invite you to share our live stream. We want to see some real shares this evening. I'm going to have my friend Randolph Kitchell come a little bit, and Randy is going to help us to go through the paces. We had a full day out of town, some rest and recuperation, some strategizing and planning, and a lot of fun in between all of that. So we just got back into the city here, and we are nevertheless delighted to be with you. We could not have the evening pass, and we didn't see some of our favorite people like Coretta, Braffett, and Abigail Poussard, uh, uh, Ronnie Carter, and Laverne Fredericks, Pam Hall, Anne Marie Selby, Petal Thorne, and Joel Jardy. Good night to each and every one of you. Whether you are PPP, whether you're APNU, whether you're AFC like me, whether you are, whatever you are, TCM, Liberty and Justice, whatever you are, we welcome you on this program. We're not afraid, We're not afraid of opposing views at all. At all. We're not afraid of opposing views. And it is beyond us. And our colleague Ronald Cox knows this, who I see is on the string this evening. Uh, Ronald knows this, that we're not afraid of anybody. We are always ready to put our views forward. We are always ready to go. Folks, we got to fight. We got to fight. You understand me? Sometimes some situations present themselves. We're going to talk our way out and try to resolve things amicably. But for the most part, folks, some people, you got to fight them, and you all know these jagabats. Not to say you all know them. Sometimes you got to fight these folks. You understand? And you know sometimes what a man is capable of, right? Folks, a lot of things happened over the last 2 weeks, right? A lot of things happened over the last 2 weeks, a lot of unforgivable things. And let me tell you this. Let me sound the warning that when something that is peace and calm, then cometh sudden destruction. Then cometh sudden destruction. Diane Fordyce. Right. Run to Isaacs and Donna Samuels. Then cometh sudden destruction, folks. All right. All right. Folks, we invite you to share our live stream. We invite you to, let me see what's happening in some other places. Happy to have so many of you with us this evening. Really and truly. Tremendously happy to have so many of you with us. All right. We're going to see what's happening in some of the other places. We need all our folks here with us this evening. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for the shares. Our Twitter folks, thank you for the share our Facebook folks, delighted to see each and every one of you. So much happening locally, folks. And folks, if there are things that are happening in the diaspora that you think we should know about, those of you who are in the diaspora, we invite you guys. We invite you guys to share the information with us so that in turn we can also share it with the folks like you who come here every night looking for, as Randy always says, credible information, not fake information, credible information, folks. So we are waiting until we hit this magic number. You know how the story goes, folks, every night. We see quite a few shares already, but we'd look so much better with some more shares. We would look so much better with some more shares. Guys, this is not NCN, with 27 people watching, right? This is not newsroom that got, 100 people watching. Folks, you make this show possible, and we are forever grateful for that. So I'm going to share our stream a couple places, and then I'm going to come back and see where we are, and we invite you guys to do precisely the same. We invite you guys to do precisely the same. I'm trying to get the video quality. I don't know why it seems to have been dipping over the last few days, but we don't want that at all, at all, at all. So we're looking at that. Also watching our magic number, right? And then we're going to kind of pace ourselves from there. Good. We're going to pace ourselves from there. Again, so nice to have each and every one of you. And the system seems so slow this year. I don't know what is happening, but we're going to stay with it. Hope for the best. And I'm sharing our stream a couple places. And we know you guys are going to do the same. All right. I think we are on a couple places, and we're going to be ready to go. As long as we see that we hit our magic number, folks, we are going to be good to go. You all understand? We're going to be good to go. So, yeah. Correct is right. So a very good night to each and every one of you guys, and welcome in the ring. Again, for those of you who are joining us on Twitter, welcome. Facebook, welcome. YouTube, welcome. Let's fight, guys. We got to fight. We're almost where we need to be, and then we're going to move from there. We're almost where we need to be, guys. Olive, I see you there. Miss Barrett, I see you there. Tobin and Allman and Volkaran, I see all of you guys. Audrey Ward and Rashley Ford, Paulette Benji. We see all of you guys. I am ready to go. And Randy's going to come on board in a couple minutes. And we're going to walk through some of the hot topics and some of the pressing issues as of the hours. How did you guys spend the day at work, folks? How did you guys spend the day at work? Again, as I said when we started, I hope you all work for this money. I am hoping that you guys work for the money and we're not earning anything on the false pretense. We're almost where we need to be. David Wood, good night. Onyx, I ain't seen you in a long time, Onyx. What happened in so long I ain't see you? Onyx? Folks, the voice a little tickle like that. Y'all don't think too much. Right? Y'all know I got my stage voice. Guys, it's Guyana we're living in. Rudy, Denise, Gavin, Siobhan, Retta, is Guyana we living in. Guys, give us a share in the man. Why y'all so stingy? Y'all want to keep everything to yourself? Come on, folks. It's a new year. Act like big people now. Right? Telford. Telford is here. Telford is there. All right? Telford says he's looking for a serious invite in the future. All right, Telford, we're going to make that happen. We're going to give you the hookup. We're going to give you the hookup. You know, Telford is the one PPP person, perhaps, who has the testicular fortitude to step in the ring. All the others are a set of spineless people. It's like these fish that they stuff the coke in. They pull out the backbone and they stuff in coke. Spineless. Spineless. All right, folks. Are you guys ready? Let's walk through some of the what do you call it? Some of the catfish things that have been happening. Some of the catfish madness that have been happening, folks. But before we do that, come on, guys. Twitter, give us a retweet. Facebook, give us a share, guys. uh, give us a share. YouTube, one of our favorite places. Folks, Shara Duncan on YouTube. Subscribe. Share Duncan on Twitter. Follow. Like my page, for instance. If you're on the viewing from the page, like my page on Facebook. Folks, again, we have been following, for instance, some international news where Meghan Markle is concerned. And, you know, the fallout continues. The fallout continues over this issue with Meghan Markle, where, among other things, I think one of the grave things that was mentioned is the fact that because this baby, Meghan, is considered black. Don't let me fool myself. And because this baby has black blood, let's put it that way, in the veins, the royal family had some concerns. And baby Archie was not given a royal title or any security. Now, they've got some PPP people on this page who feel somehow like in some other part of the world they are deemed as ethnic Indians because their forefathers some generation ago came from India. Not so. You're either black or you're white in the world. I'm sorry. But that is the reality of things. So we're following this case. And we saw that Piers Morgan decided recently to open his big mouth. Right? Piers Morgan decided to take God out his thoughts. And he opened his big mouth against Meghan Markle. And some of the stuff he said, I don't even want to repeat here. Right? But we saw just recently where Piers Morgan is going to leave the Good Morning Britain show after 41,000 complaints were had against him concerning the remarks he made about Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex. Right? And some of you are going to end up just like Piers Morgan. Just like Piers Morgan. Because you all like talk too much. And I'm talking about the catfish PP supporters viewing right now. My grandmother used to say, you all talks too much. You talks too much. And so they can end up in a whole host of problems. Sometimes you got to be quiet. And you know when it comes to talk, they ain't talking. You know when it comes to call a spade, a spade. These fraudulent trench crappos ain't talking. Huh? These catfish supporters that people got, when it comes to real time to talk, they ain't talking. But Piers Morgan found out the hard way. And some of us are going to find out the hard way. So he gone flying him out against Meghan Markle. Why? Because she's American? Why? Because she's black? Quote unquote? Huh? Like some of you, because she's black? Right? And the way some people go on black people, and some of the stuff they say, oh my God. Oh my God. To think that this is in the hearts of some people, and Carla, who is viewing us right now, has it right. Piers is bitter. The stuff in some people's heart. My God. My God, folks. Some of y'all need a spiritual revival. You know? There was a pastor I used to watch many years ago, Sister Audrey. She said, y'all mouth needs scrubbing out with spiritual vim. You know, some of the things y'all talk on this chat. My God. right? You don't know me. Some of the things people message me, if you don't know yourself, you understand me? If you don't know yourself and you're strong, if you know Jesus, it's a marathon or some rope or something you can look for. Because sometimes when people tell you about you, they tell you it with such convictions that you begin to believe it is true. And that is why the purgatory that Pierce Morgan end up in is good for you. It is damn good for him. Sometimes you got to just hold a focus. As my friend Amanza Walton Desire, the one and only, would say, hold a focus. You need to hold a focus. Right? You all think it's whole day the talk. I save army talk for when they come on the show. Right? Army talk I save when they come on the show. When I go home after, I want to be quiet. I want to be at one with the universe. Some of y'all don't know that. Right? Some of y'all know some people. I'm sure some of y'all know some people. They're always in police story. You understand me? I see my colleague Ganesh Maipal is watching, and Ganesh wants us to big up all the trench crappos. Guys, give us a share. Let's big them up. Right? And as Carmen Johnson is saying on the chat right now, Carmen says that these catfish people need deliverance. And I believe you, Carmen. They need deliverance for truth. Right? They need deliverance. And so, Pierce Morgan, folks, has learned the hard way. Right? You see, when you like talk, my mother used to say, if you didn't say something, they couldn't say you say. If you didn't go, your name couldn't get called. But some people, everything cup knock. Right? Everything cup knock. They're there. Everything cup. So Pierce found out the hard way that sometimes you gotta keep your trap shut. So long, farewell, Pierce. We turn our attention to this fraudulent, wicked government. Fraudulent, wicked, catfish install government. So over the weekend, they're trying to take shame out of the eye, how blackout so much now in the country. They're trying to take shame out of the eye, folks, how blackout turn up in the country. You understand me? And so, this Jezebel, this Nakavakamite, and Jagabat, Mark Phillips, who's still marking time, stating now that is now engaging GPL. I know what he's doing all the time because this sector falls under his purview. He now engaging GPL 6 months later on blackouts in region 3 and 4. There should have been a holistic plan. Right? There should have been a holistic plan as to tackle blackouts. You got to wait. And I see Denise Harris has joined. Reverend Pastor Denise Harris has joined. And Pastor Harris, I was pointing out just the other evening, was Monday evening, as a matter of fact, International Women's Day, that it is strong women and spiritual mothers like you who are responsible for the strong, well put together and articulate Sherry Duncan that Guyana sees today. Put on your pipe and smoke it. Big up, Pastor D. So this Jagabat, this one, Mark Phillips, now engaging GPL about blackout in regions 3 and 4. You know why? Because Mark a big generator. You understand me? Over the Prime Minister's residence, and in Diamond, we got the big mansion. Right? So Mark is not in touch with the common man. Or Mark would have known. He would have touched base with GPL first day, August 2nd. Right? First day. But if Guyanese are honest with ourselves, if the trench crappos, the trenchies, are honest with themselves, they would know that we begun to change this whole blackout situation within the last 5 years. And there were less and less blackouts. But people don't want to admit that. The PPP won't want to admit that. And the trenchies and trench crappos, the Nakavakamites, Jezebel and Jagabats, just like the rubber stamp Mark Phillips, they will want to admit that, folks. Right? They won't. So this is the filth that they're spewing. This is the nonsense, folks, that they are spewing. Right? On the fraudulent NCN. Right? All of them there, Ed Lane and a whole host of them, a whole host of the Nakavakamites, pack up at NCN and DPI. And they put a live stream out, 10 people watching. A whole set of equipment, a whole set of staff, big payroll, about 10 people watching NCN and DPI at any one time. Half of them should go home. So they're going to put out this filth. I'll give you some commentary.
Over the weekend, the issue of constant blackouts was further amplified, with residents taking their concerns to social media. Recognizing this, Prime Minister Phillips, who has oversight responsibility for this sector, called a meeting with GPL officials where he was briefed on the situation. He was informed that the issues encountered was mainly due to a poorly maintained electricity grid, which the power company is rectifying.
We've inherited a transmission and distribution system that, frankly speaking, should have gone through continuous maintenance over the last 5 years. My understanding is that the maintenance schedule over the last 5 years has not been consistent. So we're at a stage now where we're doing a lot of corrective maintenance work.
The Prime Minister says he has instructed GPL to improve on its communication with residents on the planned maintenance works so that households can properly prepare for these events when they arise. Junior Public Works Minister Deodat Indar, who was also in attendance, says the residents' complaints did not fall on deaf ears and are being addressed.
Internally in GPL, there are some issues that we are working on, deal with contractors and how they conduct their work and the quality of their work and so on. We are dealing with those. But apart from that, there are other areas which we are looking into, which is the inspection, putting more focus on the inspection and preventative maintenance.
GPL says power outages are expected to lessen over the coming weeks and could be stabilized in the next 3 along the entire East Bank and East Coast of Demerara. Power outages are expected on Friday, March 12 on the East Bank Demerara to allow maintenance works on the circuit from Nandi Park to Craig. Other works are to be done on the South Rhineville to Nandi Park circuit. On the East Coast Demerara, GPL will conduct maintenance works on the Columbia to Victoria circuit. Over the weekend, the issue of constant blackouts was further amplified with
Deodat Indar talking about the problems that exist at GCOM currently. You know the problem that exists at GCOM currently? The problem is that they took back the old used tire, Dindial. That is the problem. Right? They ain't got another problem there, you know. The problem is that they take back an old used tire, Dindial, who already was doing nothing. That is the problem that they got. An old used tire, Dindial come back. Now it was GPL's board, led by Winston Brasington, that fired Dindial. That fired Dindial, said Dindial incompetent. You understand me? What adjective they didn't use to talk about Dindial? It was adjectives that were not in the dictionary. Right? Priya would have said he is a preposition. Dindial is a preposition. That is what Priya would have said. And then you got a big executive rubber stamp like Mark Phillips watching over GPL. You don't expect problems? So Mark Phillips, like he just wake up. Because he is sleeping all the time. He just wake up talking about, they will have to decide whether they will prosecute people over COVID-19 violation. Right? this executive rubber stamp. And then they got Jindial there, who don't know he hand from his foot, who don't know he behind from a hole in the ground. Hypocrites. That is what they are. Hypocrites. If we want to be fair, we are going to admit that blackouts were almost non-existent under the APNU AFC government. If you want to admit the truth. And the generators that they just brought in recently for places like Kukwani and so on, and some of the outlying areas were being done under the APNU AFC administration. So as the big people used to say, don't get tied up. Don't get tied up. You understand me? So let us come back to Mark Phillips again. Because Mark Phillips is the head for the COVID task force, the national coordinator for the COVID task force. My God. We just passed and paid tribute to the in a night of a candlelight vigil, the opposition, to the 200 persons who died from COVID-19 locally. The 200 persons. Folks, since then, 3 other persons dead. Since then. And 80,000 plus vaccines come. And the COVID deaths still going up. So it's 203 persons dead from COVID right now. And the catfish prime minister talking recently about now, what are they talking about? They're talking about whether or not they should prosecute event organizers who breach COVID-19 protocols. Y'all hear madness like this? Huh? Leandrew Kellyan from the Interior, I see a comment there. Who's watching from the Rupununi? Leandrew Kellyan, a very good night to you, and we are privileged that you are in the house. Y'all see this madness here with these catfish people? Now look, story here. They don't care nothing about COVID-19. And nothing, they don't care about COVID-19. Since they come into office, every COVID-19 regulation, the government ministers breaking. They and the family and friends, breaking them. And to this date, the Prime Minister now trying to consider whether or not he will hold accountable event organizers like the other Jagabats who held the big race with 3,000 plus people at the circuit the other day. They have been running around this country, the PP ministers, inviting the public to huge meetings, because they want to seem relevant. And then decide on a strategy as yet. So the catfish president, right? The catfish president was recently at the Everest Sports Club that was hosting an event, his event, the President's Cup. The man said on his Facebook page that moments after he arrived at the event, he was so incensed by what was taking place. Folks, y'all better share the stream here tonight. He was so incensed by what was taking place. He left immediately. And on his very Facebook page, there's a photograph with every person that attended, the hundreds that attended the event at Everest, and him. So leaving almost as soon as he arrived meant standing in the ground and being so angry that you stand up to take a photograph with dozens, scores of persons. This catfish president, right? You all know I often refer to Starbuck News. If I refer to Village Voice, y'all gonna say we bias. So I'm referring to Starbuck News because they seem to favor y'all. This is Starbuck News this morning's editorial, March 9th. Enforcement of COVID protocols is the header for the editorial. Starbuck News says what on Sunday amounted to a decidedly embarrassing episode in the process of the staging of a public event executed under the patronage of the president, was as much a function of the seeming indifference that has attended the official approach to the enforcement of COVID protocols associated with seeking to guard against the worsening of the COVID-19 pandemic, as it was a manifestation of the widespread and now seemingly out of control public indifference to those protocols. And that is because of the PPP and the catfish infantile. The editorial goes on, folks, bear with me. It says it should never have happened. And the irony is, President Ali's express consternation notwithstanding, much of the responsibility for the occurrence must go beyond the organizers of the event and placed at the feet of elements within his administration responsible for guarding against this type of occurrence. The editorial goes on. The last piece I'll read for you. Where one might ask, were the procedural routines that customarily attend public events where the head of state is expected to be present. The president was actually the patron of the tournament, and which ought to have covered the matter of the rigid enforcement of the COVID-19 protocols as a prerequisite for the attendance at Sunday's event. And that article goes on. A scathing rebuke, criticism, diatribe, abuse out, cuss out of Infant Ali and his government. And the PPP trench crappos on the page, they're not going to want to admit they were wrong, you know. Right? Because anytime you have them cornered on an argument, you know what they go back to? They go back to some 5 million at Chronicle because somehow they put the money in my pocket. They put the money in my pocket. And they started calling you names and you're a homosexual and an anti-man and all manner of things. Because you know why? The arguments are too difficult to overcome. So when they butt up with strong arguments, they revert to their base nature. But y'all can go and cuss out Starbuck News. It's your friends. Y'all can go and cuss them out. Alright? That is what you guys can do. Because this is the madness that the rest of us are contending with. And so while Infant Ali wants to please the fans and supporters on the one hand by taking out hundreds of photographs with them, he is so concerned the president had a right to shut down the event. And like the good captain of a ship, well, when we talk about ship, we can start talking about boats that float away and all kinds of things. He should have ensured every patron left that event. And he should have been the last man out the gate. But the catfish people don't understand leadership in that capacity. So he thought that when he is going to now take out a photograph with everybody at the ground and then say how vexed he is, right, that the protocols aren't being followed, then he was going to get a groundswell of support for leadership. But that is madness. That is bizarre leadership. That is bizarre leadership. And as Starbuck News editorial points out, the president's people are responsible for this, including the executive rubber stamp, Mark Phillips. Including the executive rubber stamp, Mark Phillips. So he didn't know what happening? That is what he wants us to believe this evening? Madness. And don't let me even talk about the COVID cash grant, because he probably don't even know what is happening there either. And Mark Phillips probably don't know either. The racism, the rank racism that is attached to the disbursement of the COVID-19 cash grant. And you all know it's true. The PPP supporters know it is true. When you go to those villages, when you go to the PPP villages, all they get asked for is their ID cards. It is right. And you all know I'm talking the truth. Somebody come at a bottom house, at a shop corner, and all you're asked to do is bring your ID cards. But the catfish one won't know about this. The rubber stamp won't know about this. And when they get to some villages that they assume, I want to welcome my colleague Randolph Critchlow, that they assume support the coalition. You understand me? You got to show them your toilet bowl, how much bed in your house, where you cook. If you own the house, how much of y'all living here? It's only left to ask you for a blood sample and a stool sample. Right? But of course, the whole alley government, like the boat with dead people without the engine. So they're just drifting. Randy. Right? And to date, people still waiting. And when I stood up in Parliament and talk about the program as pink slip programs, because they promise you something, but they know they have no intention of fulfilling that. Right? And if they do fulfill it, it's because of the pressure that we have brought to bear. These pink slip jagabats and trench crappos. Right? How can you go and spend that $25,000 with any ease in your mind when you know your own brothers and sisters as Guyanese are being denied? Not PPP money, not PPP financiers' monies, right? This money belongs to the people, the taxpayers of this country, Randy.
Yeah. Sharon, I'm hearing a feedback.
Whole host of catfish jagabats.
Yeah. Sharon, I have said that. You hearing me?
Yes, Randy. Loud and clear.
Okay. No, I've said that in. So I'm hearing it. Echo, so I can't really concentrate because I'm hearing myself.
Well, come out and coming back, and let's see if that clears up. So, folks, that is where we are. A catfish government, right? Can't even deal with Guyanese people fairly where the distribution of the COVID cash grant is concerned. You understand why Mark Phillips is sailing where GPL is concerned? He had to see on social media that people are up in arms against the consistent blackouts. What? GPL don't have board meetings? They ain't got a complaint desk? In the last 48 hours, the British people can tell us that 41,000 complaints were received against this other nutcase, Piers Morgan. And we can't know the complaints Guyanese people have been sending to damn GPL. That is where we are as a country. So he just wake up from his slumber. And here we are again. All right? Here's where we are again. Catfish Infant Alley. Yes, Randy.
Let me say this because I'm still hearing myself. I hope the audience is without this echo. But I want to say this. We have said long ago that this cash grant and how it was organized and ruled out was something of a slush for BNP supporters and activists. And over and over, this is being proved correct. This is on point. They recently were in South Brazil. People who I know call and they say, Randy, here you are correct. These people done a hustle. One household, they say, bring your ID card. You live here, bring your ID card. The next household with the next person say, are you the owner of the house? So you have somebody renting upstairs, somebody renting downstairs.
Randy, just go ahead. I can guide you. In the icon that says Cam and Mike, if you touch on that, make sure the echo cancellation the box is not ticked. See if that might help, because I'm still seeing folks says they're hearing an echo.
Echo cancellation should be ticked.
No, it shouldn't.
Okay, good. I got you.
Great. Let's see if that helps.
It's off now.
Go right ahead, Randy.
Yeah. But I'm still hearing the echo. Oh my. Oh my. Wow. Wow. All right. All right. Let me turn down
Let
here.
me turn
So
down
I'm
here.
saying
So I'm
same
saying
shares.
same shares.
Let me try
Let me
one
try
more time. I'll
one
go
more
out and
time.
come
I'll
back
go
in.
out and come
Great.
back in.
Yeah. So, folks, you know what we're discussing: catfish, skullduggery. Mind you, they started an audit with the distribution of the catfish cash grant. Huh? When we can see the audit? When are we going to see the audit? The results of the audit, right? When we can see the result of that audit? Because we know, PPP people know. You understand me? Guyanese know that some of these agents, party people, PPP folks, distributing the COVID cash grant, they're building some mansions. You know why? They learn from Jack Dio how you do it. A little here, a little there. A little here, a little there. The feedback from Guyanese on the COVID cash grant, my God, the feedback that we have gotten, from the COVID cash grant, right? It
Yeah.
is so
Yeah.
unfair, and in many instances simply racist.
Yeah. Yeah. And
And let
like I was
me,
saying,
like I
shares
was saying,
in
shares
south of
in South of
one house they're
one
telling
house they're
one thing,
telling
and
one
one
thing,
they're
and
telling
one house
something
they're
else.
telling something else.
And
And
it is so clear that
it is so clear that this is
some sort of
is
con
some
being
sort of
run by
con
the
being
PPP.
run by the people.
Yeah, yeah.
Persons are
In
telling
in one house, everybody could get the
mhm,
cash grant,
mhm.
and then when you go down the street, only the landlord.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is how catfish government operates, right? Different strokes
Mhm,
for
mhm.
different folks.
Yeah.
That's how
Yeah.
they operate.
Right.
Right? Yes, Randy. So, what else is happening at your end this evening, Randy? I know you always got a little bit of juice for us.
So
So
I came across some
I came across
information,
some
sure. Let me see
information,
if I
sir.
can
Let me
pull
see
it
if
up
I can
for
pull
you.
it up for you.
Where is it?
Where
It
is
has to
it?
do with
It
local
has to do with
government
local government
elections.
elections.
All right.
Right.
And we're picking
And
this
we're
up
picking
from
this up
newsroom.
from newsroom.
GCOM commissioner
GCOM
states
commissioner
Bonraj
states
State House to House registration
house
is highly
registration is
unlikely
highly unlikely
unless the
unless
laws
the
are
laws are
changed.
changed.
So we're seeing
So we're
the
seeing
stage being
the stage
set there,
being
shares
set
for
there, shares
Yeah,
for
no house to house
no house to house
registration.
registration.
yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
So, so
yeah.
I,
That is what they
you
want.
know,
I wouldn't be surprised if they don't even want local government election, because you know why, Randy? They never like local government election. That is why in 20 years they never had it, right?
yep,
And that is
yep,
a stipulation of the Constitution. Local government elections, but in 20 years they didn't have it, and they want to lecture us about constitutionalism and constitutionality of
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
issues. They want to lecture us when we have had two
yep,
local
yep,
government elections in 5 years, and they didn't have one in 20. These same folks, in that video clip that I showed of NCN and the um, GPL issue of blackouts, this rubber stamp Mark Phillips telling us about the aging infrastructure. We had government for 23 years. Who we inherited GPL from? Huh? Is you tell me that kind of infrastructure breaks down in 5 years?
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
20 years they had the sector. 20 years. And manufacturers were complaining with the consistent blackout and the high cost of power generation in this country.
yep,
We
yep,
took it for 5 years and did our best. And as I said, Guyanese know that that we had less blackouts under the new AFC government, and so we can try to stifle our consciences. We can try to stifle our consciences, but we know the truth, right? We know the truth, and the truth, folks. shall set you free. And that is why this evening we are saying a good evening to all except Fat Boy. A good evening to all except Infant Ali. Because he is the captain of a ship and he didn't even know where the ship's sailing. He didn't even know who the crew members are and where they're coming from. Because if he had known, he would not have had to turn up to his own event where he is the patron and then abusing out the people about not following COVID guidelines. Did he put things in place? Did his people, Minister of Sports, did he put things in place? So good evening to all except.
Or you put this me on this exercise.
Let me take him off, Randy. I won't insult you like that.
Yeah.
Go right ahead, Randy.
Sharon, I wanted to say something. You said something earlier about the fact that the president doesn't know and Mark Phillips doesn't know. But I want to posit and this is something that Amanda Desir would have said also that these people know. They know about the racism. They know about discrimination happening in all of these areas, whether it be public service, or be the COVID-19 distribution, cash grant distribution. Their role is to pretend and tell the world and the international community, I'm talking all these things about unity. Right? And my word is unifying and bring people together. But you have Anil Nandalal and Jack Dio and the other ministers like Ejil and them carrying out this economic genocide on black people. While the president goes out there and tries to sugarcoat everything and make everything, we're living in this wonderful country called
Corridor of unity, oneness, ministry of happiness.
Yeah. Very, very sad.
So, folks, we are going to continue to watch. We're going to continue to monitor some of what has been happening. I'm hearing an echo now. I don't know. We're going to suffer it to be so for a little while. Let me see if I can help in this regard. Yeah. So I see all of the comments that are being made. Beatrice, I see you there. Jean, Maud, Yasmin, Chris Boyer. We see all of your comments. And we invite you guys to give us a share. Randy? Somebody says Ali's a liar.
Just message, she said she's ringside tonight and she said I look a little tired. We had a long day, so
yes, we did.
Yes. A very long day, a very tiresome day also. But we're here, Sharon. And let's just go back to this local government thing. I think the echo has stopped. No, it's still there.
It's like this catfish government.
I just want to kind of unpack something about what is happening there at GCOM. Right? We have the PPP attempting to dismantle the structure of GCOM as it is. And then of course they're going to come to Guyanese and say, we can't have local government elections because the AP and UFC says that they don't want to go to local government elections without a list. But I will posit tonight, Sharon, that if it takes us the list done, I will posit that we are willing to wait. I am willing to wait so that we can have a credible elections. Even if we got to push back the elections 6 months so that the list can be fixed. I cannot see us going to a local government elections with the same problem we went into the last election with a bloated list. So it's going to be an interesting fight. It's going to be an interesting few months as elections are sorted out, so to speak. Yes, sir.
And indeed, we have to watch that, and yeah, we have to watch that, and we have to be very, very vigilant, because we understand that these guys really and truly in concern about local government elections, in concern about the ordinary man. Those things don't bother them, right? So we are the ones who gotta look out for our folks, for the populace. All of these shenanigans. One day there's no local government, the other day there is. One day there's house to house, there's money in the budget. Next day there isn't. You understand? Uh, Public servants still waiting to hear what the increase is, right? Budget finished and passed. The budget was passed, Randy. Public servants still waiting to hear how much money increase they are going to get. But apparently it's a secret. So one day you can get your pay slip and you can realize, oh, I get a $2,000 increase.
I was listening to um, I wouldn't call the show, but it had Christopher Ramon and he had Timothy Jonas on the show. And Timothy Jonas was essentially advocating for full-on privatization of the country. His words were that, I'm quoting indirectly, that government shouldn't be in the business of business. The government should take all of these things that making money and privatize them, whether it be sugar, whether it be GPL, whether it be whatever. And it really spoke to where Timothy Jonas comes from, right? And the outer touchness, if there's such a word, the outer touchness of this upper middle class bubble that he lives in. That, to his credit, Christopher Ram called him out on it. He said, is something as to the effect of annihilation of the poor. Because we all know that runaway capitalism, which Timothy Jonas was calling for, basically doesn't aid the poor man, doesn't aid the average man. These are the people who are aspiring to lead our country. These are the people who are so out of touch with the average man that they would say, look, privatize everything. I'm not hearing you. Mic is off.
Randy, if Timothy was so bright, it wouldn't take them three parties to come together to get one seat in the National Assembly. If they're so bright. So I don't listen much to Timothy Jonas. You understand me? I don't listen so much to Timothy Jonas.
I said that to say this, Sharon, that it is this same thinking that drives the policies of the PPP. Because Timothy Jonas is, he's part and parcel of them. They're very good friends. And this is the same sort of thinking that drives the policies of the PPP, and it informs their behavior. And so what will end up happening? What will end up happening to our country is that we will see, as I keep preaching, the widening of that wealth gap between those who have and those who don't have. The Bipats and the Jerry Gavias of the world, right? They will continue to live off of the blood, sweat, and tears of the public servants and the average people. Because we have a government here that will continue to bow to them and let them not pay taxes. So in a couple of years, Sharon, it is going to be an interesting place, Guyana. We're going to see fancy hotels, and as I keep saying, fancy casinos, and the average man is going to stand in awe and realize that he can't even afford a room at that hotel. Because they are going to continue to live off of the blood of the average man. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I was saying we're right about 9 o'clock. But again, you are totally accurate. about these folks that are living in a bubble because, for instance, it took weeks, if not months, for Timothy Jonas to understand what was happening in the giveaway of the trawler license. Suddenly, he sees corruption in how the license were awarded, Randy. Suddenly, you understand me? When you got to show them, these guys are bright, supposed to be bright, right? Ralph and Timothy and all the other Jagabats there. But of course, they've already gotten their 30 pieces of silver and they're not needed. So they're now fighting for relevance. I don't know what Ralph is doing on advising on border matters. All of a sudden, Timothy got his senior counsel, he 30 pieces of silver, and everybody else got a piece of the pie. And now Ralph and Timothy seem to be waking up, and Timothy seeing the trawler license giveaway as having as being a corrupt activity. All right. All right. Yep. There you have it, folks. Randy, anything else before we go? So you right up on that.
No, I was about
Nice.
to say that more of that will happen. More of that will happen as Timothy and his friends who believe that, you know what, we can give to the rich and hope that they will give to the average man. The poor will continue to eat the crumbs that fall off of the big boys' table. Because that is the thinking. They don't embrace this idea that the government is supposed to help. People matter. People matter. So, I mean, we are going to be watching on, and I don't want to sound pessimistic about it, but their actions they don't make me feel with hope that they are going to be any different. I normally say it's the same PvP, but actually it's the worst of the PvP we see. Worst of them. Alright, sure.
Folks, we have to leave it there this evening, unfortunately. Randy, I want to thank you for coming by. And the folks who join us on Twitter and Facebook and YouTube, thank you as well. We want to encourage you to continue to social distance, wear your mask, sanitize, watch those groups you guys are living in. COVID is real, folks. And we've learned over the last 6 months that the people ain't got no time it we. So we got to look out for each other. We got to band we belly and look out for each other. Thanks for joining. See you guys tomorrow evening. I'm going to have our former Minister of Public Infrastructure on with me, who had responsibility for GPL, and we're going to be talking about GPL and some other issues. See you tomorrow night. Stay well, folks. Stay well.